By now, you've watched a few videos about solar, the importance, and why you should get one. If you haven't gotten solar yet and have questions about how much solar a house generates, in this video, I'm going to be sharing the behind the scene. By behind the scene, I mean I'll be sharing the monitoring data where each panel production is tracked. I have 46 solar panels installed on my house, and the solar monitoring app I'm using is from SolarEdge. So I'll be sharing my daily production data from beginning of this year till August. So you get to see the solar production during the winter months, what each solar panels generate, what the monthly generation is, and what the generation looks like at different times of the day. Let's go. Okay, so today is August 26, 2024. This is 10 a.m. and I just want to share what my solar generation has been so far. As you can see in this side of the roof, this is over the garage and there's a shade on it at this time of the morning. These 6 panels are on another side, and there's an higher level of the roof that is shading this portion just partly, so it's still working, but you can see that it's not fully exposed to the sun. And this side as well, the upper side of the roof, it's shading this portion, so it's still working, but the sun is not getting to it at all. And this is my south roof, you know, the way it is. It starts generating from when the sun is rising from the east, because this portion is the highest on the roof and there is no shading at all. So you can see that from sunrise there's already average of 300 plus kilowatt on this. So even though if you look at these panels, they have the same tilt at 43, this at 43, this at 43, this at 43, you can see that they are all producing, but the shading is having an impact on them. So later in the day, I'm still going to show you what these panels here look like at 12 o'clock. So this is showing the physical layout, what it looks like. The way my solar panels were stacked with the inverter, the production will still be maximized. These ones that are west facing and will produce lower during the day are stacked over some other ones I'll be showing you when you look at the logical layout. You get what I mean? So looking at the logical layout, I have 2 inverters. So this is the bigger inverter. This is inverter 1. It has a capacity of 10 kilowatt per hour, while this one has a capacity of 7.5. You can see that this one is already at 6.11. This one isn't stacked too much because all the solar panels that are connected to this inverter are all working. All the solar panels connected to this inverter are all on the highest part of the roof, so they are working well. So to minimize the impact of clipping, the stacking ratio of this is lower, so you can see it's at 6.11, whereas this has more panels. This has 3 strings. This is string 1.1, string 1.2, string 1.3. It has more capacity, but you can see the 6 modules that are producing legs. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They are all stacked on string 1 and 2 because they don't produce as much in the morning, so that we can still maximize the conversion rate with the inverter. So as the sun gets higher in the day, these ones will pick up more, and later in the day when the sun is about to set, you'll still be able to have a better bell curve. So the ones that are not producing as much throughout are stacked on this bigger one. So what this means is I'm able to get up to that 10 kilowatt hour conversion continuously, because if these ones are already at their max, this 6 will still be chasing it like until the sun gets to that peak time. And as the sun gets lower in the day in the west, this one will be producing at their maximum, because these are west facing. Even though they are all south, these are southwest. So when the sun is about to set, This 6 panels will still, especially the 4 that are over the garage, they are lower. Even when the sun is still lower, it's still hitting it as a very good angle, so it's able to maintain the continuous production. Whereas this one, they come up at the same time. So I'll do the maths on the page for you later on, so you see what I mean by the stacking. We are making sure that each of the 450 panels are not, stacked too much. So there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So there are only 18 modules, and each of the modules have a capacity of 450. So if you multiply, that is 8,100 kilowatt that it can produce. If you divide that by 8,100 by the 7,500 capacity, that means it is stacked at 1.08. That's almost 1-to-1 to maximize the capacity. On the other end, for this one that is 10, you can see that this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are another 10, that's 20, that's 28. So you can see that of the 28, this 6 will not be as high. So if you look at the 28 modules times the 450, that's 12,600 if you calculate everything. So if you divide 12,600 kilowatt by the 10,000 kilowatt, that's, it's kind of like 1.26 stacking ratio. But you can see that there are 6 modules that they won't pick up and be at their best until later in the day, from like 12 o'clock. So if you subtract that 28 from the 6, that means we have 22 panels. Just to carry you along, let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. You can see that I counted the blue ones. That means they are generating well. So the 6 one are not at their peak now. So if you calculate the 22 times the 450, that means it's 990. That means it's just almost up to that 10,000 capacity rather. So you have the 990 that would be picking up like as the day rises. So these inverters are able to hold on to that. So by the time this is kind of evening now, later in the day, that's when it gets to that higher stacking ratio. All of this is to increase the amount of energy conversion that the inverters can do. So I hope you understand this, that if you are going to stack, some people say stack, don't stack. I like that this inverter is stacked close to 1.1 because it's all south, and this one is kind of, all the other ones that would have other west facing will kind of increase our production, so that way I don't experience clipping. Clipping is when the solar is generating so much energy that the inverter doesn't have enough capacity to be able to capture and convert it. This is a very efficient system. So I'll go back and show you what this looks like in the physical layout, so that you can see that the shading, so it's a very thorough calculation. So if I go to my weekly generation, so I'll refresh the page and go to the weekly generation, you see what it comes up with. The page is loading. I am showing the load so that you see how it's working. So you can see that the system is loading the weekly generation. So if you look at this month so far, you can see that even when these ones that are producing 50 something kilowatt for the month, right, you can see that even these ones that look like they are shaded, right, you can see that this is 50.98, not too far from all of this. It's still a little less, but these are still pulling their weight. These solar panels here are still pulling their weight. Look at the ones on the roof, they are still pulling their weight. They come on a little later in the day. So this one at this angle, there's also a portion of the roof from the other side of the garage that is still shading it. So you can see that it has shade on the side and on the front, but in the monthly still not bad. That's still more than half. So I still like that I have this still generating for me. And if you calculate that this is lower production, you see that the stacking is less than the 1.26 that it looks like on paper. This is the 12 o'clock recording. As you can see in the video, my system was installed 16th of October, and the last update, which is 12 o'clock today, August 26, 2024, the peak power is 20.7. The solar age monitoring usually shows what the weather is. Like you can see, it's partly cloudy, 19 degrees, feels like 19. Today is Monday, like the temperature is between 9 and 22, and so far you can see it's showing that since October 2023 till date, it's showing that the number of CO2 emission saved is 7,991.36 kilograms. That's equivalent to planting 238 trees. That's interesting. It has generated a lot of power for sure. Okay, so now it's 12 o'clock. You can see that the shading on this panel 1.1.8 and 1.1.7 is already coming off. This is still a little shaded. This is still the west facing portion. It's already increased, but it's not really picking up a lot today. It's a cloudy day as well, so just showing you what it looks like. And going to the logical layout as well, you can see that inverter 1 has converted 20.42 kilowatt hour today, while the inverter 2 15.2 kilowatt. Okay, so here is the main dashboard. The current power right now is 9.62. The energy already generated today as at 12 o'clock is 35.61 kilowatt. Energy generated this month so far is 2.6 megawatt, that's 2,600, and the lifetime is 20.39 megawatt. So if you're looking at the chart for today, it's a cloudy day. You can see the bell curve is not really doing very well. You see there's peak and drops and that. So the max power for the inverter so far at 11:30, as you can see, is 13.14. So it has the capacity to have 17.6. If you want to look at the previous day, it can show you the data for the previous day. The bell curve yesterday 25, as you can see, the peak power was 16.5, so no clipping at all. 17.6 is our capacity, and this is August. So far this year, in January, it was only 0.3 megawatt, 1 megawatt in February. You can see it's picking up from spring, 1.7, and in April 2.8. Interestingly, April and May, it's almost the same. April was 2.809, May was 2.808 megawatts. It did well in June, 3.307. The best month so far has been July at 3.495 megawatts. We are in August. We still have a few more days before the end of August. So I installed last year. It's not yet 1 year, so it's showing the previous year in blue. We only installed like I think 20 something of October. The power turned on, so it was a few days when it was installed. We couldn't turn it on. We waited till we got the approval, so I think we turned on, is it 26th or 27th? It was a few days in October, and then this is November, we got 1.1, and December 0.82. So that's my production so far. By let's say 27th of October, that will be the first full year with the solar, and I'll be sharing updates. Stay tuned. On this channel, I'll be sharing the production data with you. Looking at the quarterly production, you can see that quarter 1 was low, quarter 2 is the highest, quarter 3, let's see where it goes. We only have quarter 4 data from last year, but soon we'll have comparison data. So this year so far, out of the total 20 plus megawatt lifetime, 18 has been the 8 months of this year, and last year we only got 2 megawatt in 2023. So if you look at the weekly data, we'll just be showing the peak power. So the peak here is 16.4, the peak here is 16 point, so it's 13 here, like this was a rainy day. The peak here is 15.685, peak is 16.3. So that has been the week so far. So if I'm to go to the month, just to be checking what the peak power is. So the month is shown in bar chart, is just showing the production amount. So the highest so far this month for a daily production in August is 140 kilowatt in a day. So there has been 136 days, 137 and 129. So the highest production was 140. This is the data for July 2024. The highest production in July is 150.7. So that's the highest. You can look at the line, the 150 line. Only this day 12th nearly met it, that's 148. But those are the two peak days for the month of July. So if you go to the month of June, interesting, I have, looking at the month of June, I have 157 days, which is the 5th of June. So there are 3 days that I really got the highest production. So I think this is the best day so far production wise on my solar system, where the system generated 157.31. So if we are to look at the bell curve for that day, you can see the day it generated, you can see that the peak power was 17.58 kilowatt. So the mass capacity is 17.6. So I really love what my inverters are doing, the way it's stacked. It's excellent work, no clipping whatsoever. So I just wanted to share like 10,000 kilowatt capacity on inverter 1 and 7,600 kilowatt capacity on inverter 2. That means per time the two inverters can be converting 17.6 kilowatt of electricity from direct current to alternating current per time. Anything more than that is going to clip. Clipping means cutting off, meaning that it's too much, it's wasted power. But you can see the best day so far, it didn't reach that 17.6. That means it's really working to capacity. And I think there was shading and stuff here, so or maybe the sun had some cloud cover. Whenever it's not perfect like that, you see that something is happening, but then it picks up. So this is the best day so far, and there's no clipping. So solar systems, if it's not stacked properly, there would be clipping. I'm just sharing this so yeah, you understand how this works. So we'll go back to the monthly data and we'll check the month of May 2024. For the month of May 2024, you can see that I have this day 150. That's the highest production day for that month. This is 140. That's good. So if you are to check the daily data for that day, it has a beautiful bell curve, and you can see I didn't get to the point of clipping. You can see 17.20, 17.24, just at about 1 o'clock, 1:30. That's when the peak generation is. The bell curve here, it's looking much better for the 150 generation day in May. So we'll go to, going to check April production data. You can see one of the best days is 147 in April. We have 145 days, but there wasn't really any month that reached 150 here. So if you click on the 147 production, this is a beautiful bell curve this month, and you can see 1.51. Same thing around 1:30 is when I get to peak power based on how the system is set up here, and you can see it hovering around 17.5. It didn't reach that 17.6 to get to the point of clipping. If you are to check the month of March, the best day is towards the end, actually the last day of March, where it had 131. Like these were snowy days. I think the snow melted and we were able to get 131 here. Let's click on that March 31. Look at the bell curve, also looks pretty much good. So if you look at the February production, there were still some decent days. Like these days were totally no production. For people wondering, could there be days where there's no production? Like look at this, February 5th, it's 0.16 kilowatt. On the 6th of February, 0.265, 0.277, 0.007. These were the days that the snows were pouring non-stop. Really dark days, like non-stop snowfall, non-stop, like the cloud wasn't even shifting. It was really dark days. So whenever there's no sun, it doesn't work. But whenever the snow is not falling, on days that snow is not falling, we have days that you have the snow days, then you have days that there's snow on the roof, there's snow on the floor everywhere. The solar still produces. These are the snow days. As you can see, the snow is falling, everywhere is dark. But when the snow stops, this is February 16, February 17, February 18, February 19. You can see the beautiful solar production. I don't clear snow from my roof. It's still working. As long as the sun is out, it doesn't matter what time of the year. This is still a very decent production of 91 kilowatt hour. This is 92 kilowatt hour. This is 91 kilowatt hour. The solar is working beautifully. As long as the sun is out, it doesn't produce as much, not because of snow or anything, but because we have shorter days. February is short days, so you can still see it's still doing well. So some days that maybe it snowed, and maybe it snowed in the evening and the sun sets earlier, you can see days are a little lower. You can have a look at this data, you can correlate it to the weather. It's amazing. These days as well, these are kind of dark days, and yeah, so solar generates. It doesn't matter what the weather is, it still produces a decent amount, like 1 megawatt for February. That's amazing. And if you watch my video on how the net metering works, you realize that all this excess generation I don't need in summer, I send it to the grid and I get credits, which I use to cover days like this in February or days like that in December. I'll be sharing January as well, so you can have a look at that as well. January is one of the most snowy days, and you can see we still have days of 52. This is one of the darkest months. So when the sun doesn't really come out at all, the cloud is really bad, that's when you don't get any production. But as long as the sun comes out, if the snow kind of takes a break, then yeah, you get the solar working even with the snow on it. We've reviewed the dashboard tab. I've shown you what it's showing there in that part, showing the production, the daily production. Like this is where I check out the curves for the day. You can see this is where you get the weekly production. It still shows that you see the general bell curve, and usually correspond with whatever the prevailing weather condition is. And the monthly one is in bar chart that compares. This is the January one I was talking about. So if I'm to go to August, you can see my chart so far in August. You can see this day it only produced 29. It rained all day this day. The weather affects the production, but overall it's been a decent production so far, 2.61 megawatt. And that's everything. This is the yearly production, the quarterly, the monthly. That's all in the dashboard phase. So if I'm to go to layout, we've seen the layout. This is the logical layout, the physical layout. Okay, you've made it to the end of this video, and I've reviewed all the backend data. If you have any questions, please feel free to share in the comment section. If there's also any part of the backend data you still want me to maybe spend more time reviewing, feel free to ask, and I wouldn't mind. I'm happy to share more about this if it convinces someone to go solar. If you have solar panels installed in your house and you have a different type of solar monitoring app, please feel free to also share in the comment section the comparison of what your view look like and the details I'm seeing here. Looking forward to seeing you in my next video. Thank you.